Hey guys, Montel here, and welcome to this edition of Free Thinking with Montel. My guest today is an author, an artist, an avid outdoorsman. He served for 14 years in the United States Army, retiring as a Chief Warrant Officer, too. He spent 9 of those years on combat-related deployments in Korea, Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan. His return home from service came with new battles, though: multiple surgeries, overmedication, and PTSD. He was eventually weaned off of 37 medication and went on to rebuild his life and assist other veterans in doing the same. He is currently running as a 2023 independent congressional candidate for Arizona. Brady Busby, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Let's back up and tell me where you're from.
I was actually raised in Arizona, born in Texas, but raised in Arizona. I joined the military out of Arizona when I was 20.
Out of high school?
No, I was 26.
Okay.
I was actually a broadcast engineer at a TV station, Channel 3 in Phoenix, which is a pretty good market share. But I joined to serve my country. So I joined in 99, so prior to 9/11.
Got it.
Was in short range air defense. I wanted to go to military intelligence, but he said, "Oh, you got to wait for your security clearance." So,
Gotcha.
I'll give you a bonus if you join this, and you can go blow some stuff up. I'm like, sweet.
Sweet, I'll blow stuff up. Yeah, okay. But then you eventually transitioned into military intelligence?
Yeah, after I was a sergeant in combat arms, I transferred over to military intelligence and finished my career in military intelligence. But a lot of special operation time, and like I said, I've 3 tours in Iraq, Kosovo, Korea, and then 3 tours in Afghanistan before I was hit with the mortar and finished my career off pretty much. Multiple surgeries for just back surgeries that I had so many surgeries from the military that they don't even do the surgeries anymore because they were kind of experimental at the time. And it was all.
And even while on active duty, though, before that blast, you were already experiencing some symptoms of PTSD, were you not?
Yeah, I was. After my 3rd tour in Iraq, I was diagnosed with PTSD, and I was at special operations at the time, and the Army kind of let me go back to the dark side for a little bit and said, "Oh, they take care of their own." And then my medics were like, "What are you what are you talking about? Here's some Ambien and some Valium. That'll get you through it." And I'm still on Ambien.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Valium was I was on it for 10 years.
Wow.
10 milligrams of Valium for 10 years. And
Just barely coping.
barely.
Absolutely. And well, it wasn't until you got out that you started actually. Well, first of all, I back up. The military did put you through a couple of protocols, though, for PTSD, did they not?
Yes, they did. I was seen in inpatient for 30 days in Virginia, which didn't really help very much. I was one of the first severe combat-related PTSD cases that they had in Germany, where at my unit. My unit didn't know what to do with me, so they put me in a warrior transition unit where medical. It took me a year before they retired me, just due to medical issues. But I went through a lot of protocols. After the military, I still continued to go through therapies. Operation Mend was one. I went to UCLA for a month and did Operation Mend. It's a great program where they teach you, all these different strategies. I mean, I learned Qigong to help calm myself, and then, different processing therapies that, challenge your core beliefs that, you're always, fight or flight. My fight or flight reflex was on for so long that, my resting heart rate was 135 and I couldn't figure out why. And they every time I went into the doctor, they're like, "Oh, calm down." I'm like, "I'm calm."
Mhm.
But
And that was because of all of the things that you endured and saw?
yes, that's true. Yeah. And one thing that's constant is the pain. Uh,
Mhm. And that was from the back issues and the blast, right?
back injuries, neck injuries. Like I have phantom pains running down my where I had my back surgery. They cut me right on my sciatic nerves on each side,
Mhm.
and so I have a lot of scar tissue built up in my nerves that grew back together. So they're pretty angry. So
Wow. And were you married while you were in the military?
I was married for 24 years until 2021, where I went through a divorce and happily single.
But I mean, during that period of time while you were going back and forth to deployments, were you, was clearly your wife was probably on that journey with you, right?
Yeah, she was. She was home with we had two girls. My oldest, Ashley, like your daughter, also
Mhm.
share that in common as well. My oldest, Ashley, after I was retired and out of the army, passed away by suicide, and
So sorry to hear.
that was another. I have complex PTSD now from the experience of going through that, and um, so yeah, my ex-wife, she endured a lot going through all the deployments. I mean, we were separated for 9 years basically of the 14 years I
Right.
was in, just with all the deployments and everything. So
And, I mean, talk a little bit about that transition out for a second.
okay, yeah, that getting out of the military as a chief warrant officer too. Uh, they gave me even while I was on terminal leave. Like I wasn't able to get seen at the VA because I wasn't a veteran yet. That's what they told me. And then the army didn't want to see me, and they had me on, like you said, 37 pills a day. So I had to get my medication somewhere. So the transition out was really hard. Um, I made the choice with the VA made me choose between opiates and cannabis, and so I mean that was an easy choice for me because I was given 5 years to live in 2011 with all the medications they had me on. I was either gonna my organs were gonna stop working, I was gonna accidentally overdose because I was taking 60 milligrams of oxycontin a day, or I was gonna end my life like 22 other vets that do a day. Um, so that was a real wake up call. And they basically, all right, here's 5 years to live. See ya, chief. It's time for you to retire. And it was a bitter time. It wasn't my decision to get out of the military. So, uh,
And I mean, at that point in time when you did get out, I mean, you had to face the reality of trying to figure out how you're going to survive as a civilian, right? So you went back to, is that when you went back to college? You went to college?
yeah. And I had a brain injury, traumatic brain injury from my blast. And well, I had 13 concussions total. So that one finished me off. But going back to college with a brain injury is extremely difficult. I had to rewire my brain how to think, basically, and it was
And dealing with PTSD at the same time, correct?
dealing with PTSD, a TBI, and just that was hard. So I went to the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs, and I chose the most chill, relaxed major I could. So I was a geography and environmental studies major with a minor in geology because I love rocks and I love the outdoors and all that. So it was a really good major for me, and I thrived. And when my brain started to retrain itself how to work, I did really good at. So graduated in
And
2015.
congratulations. And that is that because you were in Colorado at the time. Is that what helped you train or helped you figure out that maybe cannabis worked for you a little bit?
Yes, yeah, it was.
Talk about it.
So I never used cannabis until I was 37 years old. So, I mean, it was an education process. I went from uh, not knowing what to do with it, and my wife at the time didn't like me smoking it, so I would eat it. I would just eat the buds until I figured out edibles, and I figured out, that vaping it or things like that. So my doctor at the time, when she explained it to me, she said, with my pain tolerance and my pain issues, she said, "Get up, smoke or take an edible, or smoke or vape, and then take an edible. And by the time your edible gets up to level, you're coming back down from your vape, and then basically I stay at level all day long." And that's how she taught me to do it. And I used to walk with a cane. I don't walk with a cane anymore. I walk around normal, and um, you know, I I do lots of things that my physical therapist, when I was getting out, would be thrilled that I'm able to do these days. And I've been off opiates for 10 years. I haven't had a drink of alcohol in over that. Um, I don't smoke tobacco or use tobacco products, and all I use is cannabis. I don't even take Tylenol anymore. And it's to that point where it's a plant that I can grow and use for medicine, and that's why I'm such an advocate for the plant.
Absolutely. And you've been doing a lot of advocacy work with cannabis with other veterans.
Yes, I have. That's there's such a stigma, and I'm trying to normalize the use of cannabis. And every veteran that I know that uses it, it helps, uh, and it helps better than most of the drugs that the VA has them on. It helps them, relax with PTSD. It helps the pain. Um,
What has been some of the pushback that you've gotten from the VA, or do you go to the VA?
I do go to the VA because I'm 100% disabled, 100% with the VA. So um, a lot of the medications that I do have to take, like six, you have to go see the VA like every year or something to get a checkup. But I go out and I see normal civilian doctors. I have that choice because I'm 100% disabled. But some people who have to go to the VA, it's a flow chart. You walk in and they ask you, what is this, and it goes up to, hey, here's what drug you need to be on. All they're doing is prescribing drugs, and that needs to change.
Right, right, right. Do you work with any groups right now? Or are you advocating with any groups?
I am. I'm active in the cannabis community, working with my good friend Doc Ray Genetics. He's got a strain that's patented actually, and he's working to get that in veterans' hands that helped with his PTSD. So, other veterans groups, Weed for Warriors. We've talked to some compassionate programs to get the cannabis in the hands of the vets that need it. Um,
Mhm.
and just the vets that I know, we all make sure we're good and medicated, and we check in regularly with each other.
With each other. And what are you doing now right now? You after you got out of college, what do you do now as a living? Because were you not a guide for fishing?
I was a fly fishing guide in Colorado for 4 years. Uh, Once I got out of college, that's what I did. And again, fly fishing to me helped. Just being in the outdoors, in the water, surrounding. Fly fishing as a sport, in particular, it takes a lot of. You can't think of too many things at the same time, and that's a blessing because if you're on the river, you're thinking about not falling down. You're thinking about where the fish are, read the currents and everything. So that in itself really helped me with my PTSD, just getting out into nature. And so I do that now. I'm officially, well, I'm 100% retired. I've been retired since 2012, but I've done nonprofits. I currently am the president of a nonprofit called Ashes Grove Foundation. Uh,
Sure. Which and Ashes Grove is the title of your first book, right? Finding Peace After the Storm.
that is
Tell me a little bit about that book.
so. That it's actually my second book. My first book I wrote shortly after my daughter Ashley died, and it's called Healing Waters. Um, it's a memoir, basically. Really, it's a hard read. So Ashes Grove is the follow up to that book, and it is Finding Peace After the Storm. And I wrote my publicist at the time. I was going through a divorce, and she had me keep a journal, kind of the first year, what it's like to go from when she asked for the divorce until I found a place of my own, and I got in a community that I really care about, and they care about me, and it's in the middle of the Arizona mountains. And Ashes Grove is a place that I bought. It's a virgin forest. I mean, it was logged in like the 1800s was the last time it was touched, and then it's just like a special place with a creek, and there's going to be a cabin there eventually once we get going more. But um, it's going to we're opening it up to veterans with PTSD, trauma survivors, and first responders who need to get out. And we take them up there and take them fishing and get them out of the cities for 3 days, 4 days, and
That's going to be the mission of Ashley Grove Foundation.
yes, and we help. So far, we've had one participant we've been able to help, and we're hoping to help a lot more. Just get them out and into nature, disconnect from social media and everything for a few days, and heal in nature. That's one of our things we advocate for.
Now you were getting ready to run as an independent for Congress, and I'm sure that your story has been well chronicled. So I guess the constituency knows that you are a cannabis user and you are doing so for PTSD. What's been the response and reaction from those around you?
It's positive, actually. Getting your name on the ballot as an independent is challenging. It's the two parties that are in. They like to make rules that discourages normal people from doing it. Actually, uh,
I mean, what even knowing that? What even made you decide to go into politics?
well, that drive I had when I was before I joined the military to serve my country, and then um, after I was retired, I felt my service was. They told me my service was good, and I was done. And it's been 10 years since then, 12 years almost by the time I run for Congress. So um, I just want to serve. I see what's wrong on both sides, and I'm tired of sitting back and watching it go down that way. So I have a lot of leadership skills and training, and um, I was asked to run, and I thought about it. It wasn't a knee jerk decision, and I've taken some heat from like some of my family and stuff about putting myself out there because back back blast or whatever onto them. But um, it's a hard decision, but I made it, and I'm still committed to serving my country and my constituents. I grew up in Arizona. I grew up 100 miles from where I live now, close to all the reservations in the northern part of the state. And District 2 is actually the largest, geographically largest one in the state. It's about a third of the state big. Um,
Well, Arizona is I would think, at least from what I know of it, it seems to be a pretty politically torn state.
it is.
Um, so, I mean, torn the way it is, do you find it hard trying to get traction as an independent, or would you
I,
have done
I
better as
do.
a Democrat? Huh?
I do find it hard getting traction. Um, just from the people that are in politics, they dismiss you for one. Is finding a like a consultant or agency that's not specifically to one party or the other is hard. Finding an independent thinking. I mean, I call myself like a weeditarian, so I'm open to third parties who have the resources to help, this monumental task of getting me elected. But uh, if people hear my story and I talk to them, they get it, and they're tired of the super wings on the right and left, and I'm in the middle. I've stayed the same my entire life. It's just the extremes have gone extreme left and extreme right. So I'm a moderate now, but I mean I've never been extreme in my views either way. So a lot of the stuff going on right now is just so bothersome to me that's why I'm running.
Well, let's talk about some of the most important issues that you'd like to address as you run.
Well, cannabis descheduling it. I want to do a lot of indigenous work. Native Americans are a large population in my district. And they make up a majority probably of the population in my district. So indigenous rights, and when it comes to cannabis, industrial hemp, hempcrete, building their own uh, housing out of hempcrete. A lot of these issues that they've had on the reservations. I grew up right off in Holbrook, right off the Navajo Indian reservation. So I would see things back then, and I still see things today. They haven't changed too much with their issues. So tribal engagement is going to be huge. Cannabis reform is huge, but I take every issue as it comes. I'm not going to base my decision on what's happening in the media right now. If I have an issue come to me, I'll think about it and I'll make a decision and I'll run with it.
Got it.
When it comes to an issue. So
I'd love to want to share with you that I've been working on a protocol for several years now that has been proven by the world governing body that actually validates psychological protocols. It's a protocol called RTM. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. RTM, Reconsolidation of Traumatic Memories. It is a protocol that has been proven to be 9 out of 10 people who go through it literally remit all symptoms of PTSD in 5 to 10 hours without any medication whatsoever. So I want to turn you on to that. And maybe I'll make sure our office reaches out to you, let you know that as a resource, you could reach out to them and you probably go through the treatment protocol. It can be done virtually, so you don't have to go anywhere. They can do it with you at your home. And again, 9 out of every 10 people who've been through it so far have remitted all symptoms of their PTSD. So it might be something that might work for you.
I'd be interested to check it out.
Okay. Well, anything else you want to share?
Really, just getting my story out is the big thing. I think everyone I've talked to is down with what I'm about, and they're tired of the right and left. They want someone who's willing to work with both sides, not alienate both sides. Once my story gets out, I think the traction will start to come.
And you said the first book was Healing Waters, A Life of Hardship, Faith, and Family. And then your second book was Ashes Grove, Finding Peace After the Storm. If people wanted to reach out to you, where would they go? Thoughts and digits?
I'm available on Amazon. Busby or Brady.Busby at busbyforcongress.org. That's my email address. There, want to reach out to me. That's it right there. But busbyforcongress.org is the website, and they have some of the interviews I've done, contact information, ways they can help.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you well, my friend, and I hope that you have success. I think we need a lot more independent thinkers in Washington, D.C. instead of the tried and true, some of these idiots that we have there right now. So I'm so glad that you are running and hope that you have much success.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you tune into the next edition of Free Thinking with Montel. Thanks for joining me on Free Thinking with Montel. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to be notified when new episodes post each week. We'd love to hear feedback, so please send us your comments.